At 32, Ryan Carter had one last shot. An exhausted single father raising his young daughter alone after a family tragedy, he walked into the interview like he was betting everything he had left. But the woman interviewing him wasn't just anyone. She was Sophia Laurent, the most powerful CEO in the city, so cold they called her the Ice Queen. That meeting changed everything. From an ordinary employee, Ryan stepped into a world of power, money, and dark secrets. And when his daughter was hospitalized in critical condition, he was forced to choose family or career. His decision shook the entire empire. Follow this story to the end. Hit like and comment what city you're watching from so I can see how far this story has traveled. Ryan Carter sat in his car outside the gleaming tower of Laurent Technologies, gripping the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. 32 years old, and his life felt like a series of controlled collapses. The interview was in 15 minutes. He needed this job. Not wanted, needed. The kind of need that sat in your chest like a stone and reminded you every morning that you were one missed paycheck away from losing everything. He checked his phone. A text from his daughter's babysitter. "Emma's fine. Good luck today." Emma, 6 years old, the only thing in his life that made sense anymore. He locked the car and walked toward the entrance. The building was all glass and steel, the kind of place that made you feel small just by existing near it. Inside, the lobby stretched out like a cathedral to capitalism. Polished marble floors, minimalist furniture, a receptionist who looked like she'd never experienced a moment of doubt in her entire life. "Ryan Carter," he said. "I have an interview at 10. She smiled without warmth. "5th floor. Someone will meet you at the elevator." The elevator ride felt long. He straightened his tie, the only decent one he owned, and tried to remember the talking points he'd practiced last night after putting Emma to bed. Show confidence. Don't oversell. Be honest about the gap in your resume, but don't dwell on it. The gap. 3 years. 3 years of holding his daughter while she cried for her mother, of learning how to braid hair from YouTube videos, of accepting that some things don't get better, they just get different. The elevator doors opened. A woman stood waiting. Mid-20s, sharp suit, tablet in hand. "Mr. Carter?" "That's me." "I'm Jennifer, Ms. Laurent's assistant. Follow me, please." They walked through an open office space that hummed with quiet productivity. People sat at sleek desks with multiple monitors, typing with the kind of focus that came from either passion or fear. Probably both. Jennifer led him down a hallway lined with glass-walled conference rooms, each one filled with people gesturing at screens and whiteboards. "Miss Laurent is running a few minutes behind," Jennifer said. "You can wait in here." She opened a door to a small conference room. Ryan stepped inside. The table was black glass. The chairs looked expensive and uncomfortable. He sat down and tried not to think about how badly he was probably sweating through his shirt. He pulled out his phone. Another text from the babysitter. "She wants to know if you're going to be home for lunch." He typed back, "Tell her I'll bring pizza tonight if the interview goes well." 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. Then, "She says it better go well because she wants pepperoni." Ryan smiled despite himself. Emma had her mother's stubbornness. That was the hardest part, seeing Claire in every expression, every laugh, every moment of defiance. But it was also the best part, the part that kept him going. The door opened. Ryan stood up quickly, almost knocking his chair back. The woman who entered was not what he expected. Sophia Laurent was 38, according to the research he'd done, but she moved like someone who'd figured out time was negotiable. She wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than his car. Her dark hair pulled back in a way that looked effortless, but definitely wasn't. What struck him most were her eyes, gray, sharp, the kind of eyes that saw everything and forgave nothing. "Mr. Carter." She didn't offer her hand. She set down a leather portfolio and sat across from him. "Thank you for waiting." "Of course." He sat back down, trying to match her composure. She opened the portfolio. His resume sat on top. She'd already read it. He could tell by the way she didn't really look at it, just used it as a prop. "Your background is interesting, Arts," she said. 4 years at Redfield Solutions, good performance reviews, then nothing for 3 years. Now you're applying for a project management position here." Here it was. The question he'd been dreading. "I took time off to take care of my daughter. Ryan said. He kept his voice steady. Her mother passed away, and I needed to be there for her. Sophia's expression didn't change. I see. And you think you're ready to return to this level of work? I know I am. That's not the same thing. Ryan met her eyes. No, but I don't have the luxury of thinking. I have a 6-year-old who needs stability. I need a job that can provide that, and I'm good at what I do. We're good? Sophia corrected. 3 years is a long time in this industry. Technology changes, problem-solving doesn't. She almost smiled. Almost. Tell me about a project you managed at Redfield. Done? Buanam. Man. He did. He talked about the client database migration, the challenges with legacy systems, the way he'd coordinated between 3 different teams to deliver on time and under budget. As he spoke, he could see her evaluating him, not just his words, but the way he presented them. She was looking for something specific, he just didn't know what. Why Laurent Technologies? She asked when he finished. Because you're building something that matters, Ryan said. I've read about your AI ethics initiative. Most companies treat that like a PR stunt. You actually hired philosophers and policy experts. You're trying to do it right. That's idealistic. Maybe, but I've got a daughter who's going to grow up in whatever world we build. I'd rather work for someone who gives a damn about what that world looks like. Sophia closed the portfolio. For a long moment, she said nothing. I'm going to be honest with you, Mr. Carter, she finally said. You're not the most qualified candidate I'm interviewing. You're not even in the top 3 on paper. Ryan's stomach dropped. But, she continued, everyone else who's come through that door has tried to sell me a version of themselves they think I want to see. You're the first person who's just told me the truth. She stood up. Ryan stood with her. Jennifer will send you the details, Sophia said. Your start date is Monday. Don't be late. It took him a second to process. I got the job? Do you want it or not? Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Sophia nodded. She picked up her portfolio and walked to the door, then paused. One more thing. If you're going to work here, I need you to understand something. This company doesn't run on sentiment. It runs on results. Your daughter is important. I get that. But when you're here, you need to be here. Completely. Can you do that? Ryan thought about Emma's face when he told her about the pizza, about the overdue bills on his kitchen counter, about the fact that he'd been treading water for 3 years and this was the first time someone had thrown him a rope. I can do that, he said. Sophia left without another word. Ryan's first week at Laurent Technologies was like drinking from a fire hose while someone yelled at you about proper hydration technique. The project he'd been assigned to, an enterprise software rollout for a major healthcare provider, was 3 weeks behind schedule and hemorrhaging money. His predecessor had quit without notice, leaving behind a disaster of conflicting timelines, angry stakeholders, and a development team that looked at him like he was just another temporary obstacle. He worked late every night that first week, not because Sophia demanded it, but because the job demanded it. He rebuilt the project timeline, met with every stakeholder individually, and spent hours reviewing code documentation he barely understood just to ask smarter questions. Emma noticed. You're tired again, she said Thursday night. They were eating dinner, mac and cheese from a box because he hadn't had time to grocery shop. Just a busy week, sweetheart? Like before? Before. The year after Claire died, when he'd tried to work and parent simultaneously and failed at both until he finally admitted he couldn't do it. No, Ryan said firmly. Not like before. This is different. How? Because I know what I'm doing now. Emma twisted her fork in the pasta. Mom used to say you were good at your job. Ryan's throat tightened. Yeah? She said you were the smartest person she knew. Except for her. Emma grinned. Ryan laughed despite the ache in his chest. That sounds like her. Do you miss her? Every question from Emma was a landmine. He'd learned to navigate them carefully. Every day, he said. But I've got you. That helps. Emma nodded, satisfied. Can we watch a movie tonight? Half a movie, then bed. Deal. They made it through 45 minutes of an animated film about talking animals before Emma fell asleep against his shoulder. Ryan carried her to bed, tucked her in, and then went back to his laptop. He had 3 emails from Sophia, sent at 9 p.m., 10:15 p.m., and 11:30 p.m. The woman apparently didn't sleep. The first email was about the healthcare project, status update by tomorrow morning. I want numbers, not excuses. The second was a meeting invitation, weekly executive briefing. You'll present the project timeline. The third was just a single line. The development team lead says you asked good questions today. Keep it up. Ryan stared at that last one for longer than he should have. It wasn't praise, exactly, but it was acknowledgement. From Sophia Laurent, that was probably as close as it got. He worked until 2 in the morning preparing the status update. Well, the executive briefing was the following Monday. Ryan walked into the top-floor conference room to find Sophia already seated at the head of the table, along with 5 other executives he vaguely recognized from company photos. They all looked at him with the same expression, mild interest mixed with skepticism. "Mr. Carter," Sophia said, "you have 15 minutes." He'd prepared a 30-minute presentation. He cut it in half on the fly, hitting only the critical points. The project was still behind schedule, but he'd identified the bottlenecks and had a recovery plan. It would cost more in the short term, but it would deliver on time. "How much more?" asked Marcus Webb, the CFO. He was 50-something, with the kind of tan that came from golf courses and the kind of watch that came from making other people's problems go away. "120,000, Ryan said. "That's 15% over budget. It's cheaper than missing the deadline and paying breach penalties." Marcus looked at Sophia. "This is what happens when we hire people off the street." Ryan kept his face neutral, but his jaw tightened. "Mr. Webb," Sophia said quietly, "if you have a better solution, I'm listening." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "I'm just saying we had qualified candidates for this position, people with current experience, and yet none of them identified the issues Mr. Carter found in his first week." Sophia's voice was calm, but there was steel underneath. "Continue, Mr. Carter." Ryan continued. He walked them through the recovery plan, the adjusted milestones, the risk mitigation strategies. When he finished, the room was quiet. "Questions?" Sophia asked. "I have one," said Linda Zhao, the VP of Engineering. She was younger than Ryan expected, maybe early 30s, with rectangular glasses and an expression that suggested she suffered fools poorly and often. "Your plan assumes the development team can deliver features 20% faster than their current velocity. What makes you think that's realistic?" "I don't," Ryan admitted. "I think it's optimistic, but I've already talked to the team about overtime compensation and brought in 2 contractors to handle the routine maintenance work that's been slowing them down. If they can focus exclusively on the critical path items, we have a shot." Linda nodded slowly. "Fair enough." Sophia closed her laptop. "We'll approve the budget increase. Mr. Carter, I want daily updates until we're back on track. Everyone else, you're dismissed." The executives filed out. Ryan started gathering his materials. "Not you," Sophia said. He froze. When they were alone, Sophia stood and walked to the floor-to-ceiling windows that overlooked the city. 40 stories up, the world looked manageable. Ryan knew that was an illusion. "Marcus was out of line," she said. "He wasn't wrong. He was rude. There's a difference." She turned to face him. "You handled it well. Most people would have gotten defensive." "I've had practice." "With what?" Ryan hesitated. "Being underestimated." Sophia studied him for a moment. "Join me for lunch. We need to discuss your long-term role here." "I have a meeting at 1. See, cancel it." They went to a restaurant 3 blocks from the office. Not the kind of place Ryan could afford, but not ostentatious either. Sophia ordered mineral water and a salad. Ryan ordered the same, mostly because he didn't know what else to do. "You're wondering why I hired you, Sophia said once the waiter left. "The question crossed my mind. I told you the truth in the interview. Everyone else was performing. You were just existing." She paused. "I don't need performers. I need people who can function when things fall apart. Your resume told me you'd already survived the worst thing that could happen to you. That's more valuable than an MBA. Ryan didn't know what to say to that. How's your daughter adjusting? Sophia asked. To what? To you working again. She's resilient. That's not an answer. Ryan set down his water glass. She's scared I'm going to disappear again. Not physically, emotionally, the way I did after her mother died. She won't say it directly, but I can tell. And are you going to disappear? I'm trying not to. Trying isn't a strategy. No, Ryan agreed, but it's all I've got right now. Their food arrived. They ate in silence for a few minutes. I was married once, Sophia said suddenly. Long time ago. I was 26, fresh out of business school, convinced I could have it all. Career, marriage, family, the whole package. Ryan waited. Sophia didn't seem like someone who shared personal information casually. It lasted 2 years, she continued. He wanted me to slow down. Choose between him and the company. I chose the company. I've never regretted it. Why are you telling me this? Because you're going to face the same choice eventually. Maybe not the same way, but close enough. And when you do, I need you to know that there's no right answer, just the one you can live with. That's bleak. That's honest. Sophia met his eyes. I'm not your mentor, Mr. Carter. I'm not your friend. I'm your boss. But I don't hire people I can't trust, and I don't trust people who lie to themselves. So whatever you decide about this job, about your daughter, about your life, make sure you're being honest about what you're choosing and why. Ryan felt like he'd been given a test he didn't know how to pass. I appreciate that. You'll appreciate it more when you're up at midnight deciding whether to finish a project or read your daughter a bedtime story. Sophia signaled for the check. Lunch is on the company. Get back to the office. You've got work to do. Brats. The next 3 weeks were brutal. The healthcare project consumed everything. Ryan worked 14-hour days coordinating between the development team, the client, and the executives who wanted status updates every 5 minutes. He missed 2 of Emma's school events and had to pay the babysitter overtime 4 times. But the project came together. They delivered 2 days early. The client was happy. The executives were happy. Even Marcus Webb sent Ryan an email that said, "Good work," and nothing else. Sophia called him into her office the day after the launch. "Sit," she said. He sat. "The healthcare project was a success. I'm putting you on something bigger." "Bigger how?" "We're partnering with a European conglomerate on an AI infrastructure deal, $60 million over 3 years. It's the biggest contract in company history." She slid a folder across the desk. "You'll be the project lead." Ryan opened the folder. The scope was massive. Integration across 5 countries, compliance with 3 different regulatory frameworks, coordination with teams he'd never met. "This is way above my pay grade," he said. "It was. I'm promoting you. Director of Strategic Projects, 30% salary increase, full benefits, and your own team." Ryan looked up sharply. "Sophia, Ms. Laurent, you've earned it. Don't make me regret it." "I won't." "Good. The kickoff meeting is next Monday. We're flying to Berlin. You'll need a passport." "I have one, but Emma, I can't just leave for 3 days. The meeting is 3 days. Find someone to watch your daughter or bring her with you. I don't care which, but you're going." Ryan felt the walls closing in. 3 days. Emma had never been away from him for more than a night since Claire died. "I'll figure it out," he said. "I know you will." Sophia opened her laptop, already moving on to the next thing. "Congratulations, Mr. Carter. Try not to screw this up." Ryan called Emma's godmother that night. Patricia had been Claire's best friend, and she'd been asking to spend more time with Emma for months. She agreed immediately. "About time you let me take her for more than an afternoon," Patricia said. "We'll have a girls' weekend. Don't worry." "I always worry." "I know. That's why you're a good dad." He told Emma over breakfast the next morning. "Berlin?" she asked. "Where's that?" "Germany. It's in Europe." "Is it far?" "Pretty far." "I'll be gone for 3 days." Emma's face fell. 3 days? Aunt Trish is going to stay with you. You love Aunt Trish. I know, but Emma pushed her cereal around. Can't you stay here? This is for work, sweetheart. It's important. More important than me? The question hit him like a punch. No, nothing is more important than you. Then stay. Ryan knelt down next to her chair. Emma, look at me. She did, reluctantly. I got this job so we could have a better life. So we don't have to worry about money. So you can go to a good school. So we can have things we couldn't have before. But that means sometimes I have to travel. Sometimes I have to work late. It doesn't mean you're not important. It means I'm trying to build something good for both of us. Mom never had to travel. Mom had a different job. I wish she was here. Me too, baby. Every single day. Emma hugged him. He held her tight, breathing in the smell of her strawberry shampoo and wondering if Sophia was right, if there was no right choice. Just the one you could live with. Berlin was cold and efficient and overwhelming. The kickoff meeting took place in a conference room that overlooked the Spree River. Representatives from the European conglomerate, a company called Richter Industries, sat on one side of the table. Sophia, Ryan, and Linda Zhao sat on the other. The lead negotiator for Richter was a man named Klaus Bergmann. Late 50s, silver hair, the kind of handshake that felt like a test of strength. Miss Laurent, he said, a pleasure to finally meet in person. Likewise, this is Linda Zhao, our VP of Engineering, and Ryan Carter, Director of Strategic Projects. He'll be managing the implementation. Klaus looked at Ryan with thinly veiled skepticism. Director, you seem young for such a role. I'm 32, Ryan said evenly. As I said, young. Sophia's expression didn't change, but Ryan felt the temperature in the room drop. Mr. Carter delivered our last major project 2 days early and under budget. His age is irrelevant. Klaus smiled, but it didn't reach his eyes. Of course. I meant no offense. The meeting lasted 4 hours. They discussed technical specifications, timelines, compliance requirements, payment structures. Ryan took notes and tried to keep up with the rapid-fire exchanges between Sophia and Klaus. It became clear quickly that this wasn't just a business deal. It was a chess match. Every term was negotiated, every clause scrutinized. During a coffee break, Linda pulled Ryan aside. Klaus doesn't like you, Shay, she said. I noticed. He's going to test you, probably during the technical review tomorrow. Any advice? Don't take the bait. He wants you to get defensive. If you do, he'll use it to undermine Sophia's credibility. She brought a young director to a $60 million deal. He'll say it shows poor judgment. Great, no pressure. Linda smiled slightly. Welcome to the big leagues, Ryan. That night, Ryan called Emma from his hotel room. How's Berlin? She asked. Cold. How's home? Good. Aunt Trish made pancakes for dinner. For dinner? She said it's allowed because you're not here. Ryan laughed. Well, don't get used to it. When are you coming home? Day after tomorrow. That's forever. I know it feels like it, but it'll go fast, and when I get back, we'll do something fun. Whatever you want. Can we go to the zoo? Absolutely. Promise? Promise. After he hung up, Ryan sat on the edge of the bed and stared at his phone. Emma's voice echoed in his head. That's forever. She was right. 3 days for a 6-year-old was an eternity. He wondered if this was what Sophia meant, the choice you can live with. He was choosing this deal, this promotion, this life. But what was Emma choosing? She didn't get a choice. She just got whatever he decided was best. A knock at the door interrupted his thoughts. He opened it. Sophia stood in the hallway, still in her work clothes. We need to talk, she said. He let her in. She walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. Klaus is going to come after you tomorrow, she said. Not directly. He'll ask technical questions you can't answer. He'll imply you're unqualified. He's trying to renegotiate the power dynamic. Linda warned me. Good. Then you understand that your performance tomorrow isn't just about you. It's about whether Richter Industries believes Laurent Technologies is serious about this partnership. No pressure, Ryan muttered. Exactly. Sophia turned to face him. I'm telling you this because I don't coddle my people. If you fail tomorrow, it reflects on me. And I don't fail. I won't let you down. See that you don't. She moved toward the door, then paused. How's your daughter? The question caught him off guard. She's fine. With her godmother. That wasn't what I asked, Ryan sighed. She's struggling with me being gone, but she'll be okay. Will she? What kind of question is that? An honest one. Sophia's gray eyes were unreadable. You're building a career, Ryan. That's admirable. But make sure you're not doing it at her expense. Trust me. Some things you can't get back once they're gone. She left before he could respond. The technical review the next day was exactly as brutal as Linda predicted. Klaus Bergman brought in 2 engineers who proceeded to grill Ryan on architecture decisions, security protocols, and compliance frameworks. Ryan held his own on most of it, but there were gaps, areas where his knowledge was theoretical rather than practical. Klaus pounced on every hesitation. You seem uncertain about GDPR compliance, he said. That's concerning given the scope of this project. I'm not uncertain, Ryan said carefully. I'm acknowledging that GDPR implementation will require collaboration with your legal team. We can't finalize those decisions unilaterally. And yet you're the project director. Shouldn't you have answers? Sophia cut in smoothly. Mr. Carter is demonstrating exactly why he's the right person for this role. He knows what he doesn't know. That's far more valuable than false confidence. Klaus smiled. Of course. I'm simply ensuring we're all aligned on expectations. The review continued. Ryan answered what he could, deferred what he couldn't, and tried not to let Klaus's condescension show on his face. When it finally ended, Sophia dismissed everyone except Ryan. You did well, she said once they were alone. I felt like I was drowning. You were, but you didn't panic. That's what matters. Klaus hates me. Klaus doesn't matter. What matters is that Richter's engineers respected your answers. I saw their faces. You won them over. Sophia gathered her materials. We fly back tomorrow morning. Get some rest. You've earned it. What? Ryan landed back in the States exhausted but intact. Patricia brought Emma to the airport to meet him. His daughter ran across the terminal and crashed into his arms. I missed you, she said. I missed you too, sweetheart. He hugged her tight, feeling the tension of the past 3 days drain away. Did you bring me a present? Maybe. What is it? You'll have to wait until we get home. They drove back in Patricia's car. Emma chattered about her weekend, the pancakes, the movies, the pillow fort they'd built in the living room. Ryan listened and smiled and tried to ignore the guilt gnawing at him. Thank you for this, he said to Patricia when they arrived home. Any time, she's a great kid. I know. Patricia lowered her voice. But Ryan, she was asking about you every night, when you were coming back, if you were okay. She's scared. I know, he said again. Just be careful. I know this job is important, but so is she. After Patricia left, Ryan gave Emma her present, a small stuffed bear wearing a German flag shirt. She named it Berlin and insisted it sleep in her bed. That night, after Emma was asleep, Ryan sat at the kitchen table with his laptop. An email from Sophia was waiting. Good work in Berlin. The deal moves forward, meeting Monday at 9 a.m. to discuss next steps. He closed the laptop and looked around the small apartment. 2 bedrooms, aging appliances, furniture that had seen better days. This job was supposed to change that. Give Emma stability. Give them both a future. But what if Sophia was right? What if some things couldn't be gotten back once they were gone? Ryan didn't have an answer. He just had Monday morning, and the meeting at 9 a.m., and the next project, and the one after that. He had the choice he could live with. For now, that had to be enough. The months that followed Ryan's hiring blurred together in a way that felt both overwhelming and strangely purposeful. He'd forgotten what it felt like to be good at something, to wake up with a sense of direction beyond just surviving the day. Laurent Technologies moved fast, faster than any company he'd worked for before, and keeping up required every skill he'd ever learned, plus a few he had to invent on the spot. Emma adjusted slowly. The first few weeks, she cried every morning when he dropped her off at the before-school program. By week 3, she stopped crying but went silent instead, which was somehow worse. Ryan tried explaining that the job meant they could afford things now, better food, new clothes, maybe even a real vacation someday. But 6-year-olds didn't care about financial stability. They cared about whether Dad was there to read bedtime stories. He missed 4 bedtime stories that first month. He kept count. The healthcare project wrapped successfully, and Sophia moved him immediately to the next challenge, a complete overhaul of the company's internal project management systems. It was the kind of unglamorous work that nobody wanted, but everybody needed. Ryan spent his days interviewing department heads, mapping workflows, identifying bottlenecks. He worked late most nights, Emma asleep in Patricia's guest room more often than her own bed. "You're doing it again," Patricia said one Thursday evening when he came to pick Emma up at 9 p.m. "Doing what?" "Disappearing, just in a different way than before." Ryan wanted to argue, but he was too tired. "I'm trying to build something here." "I know, just make sure you're not building it at her expense." He carried Emma to the car. She woke up briefly, mumbled something about wanting her stuffed bear, then fell back asleep against his shoulder. The weight of her, still small, still trusting him completely, made his chest ache. At work, Sophia noticed things nobody else did. The way Ryan organized his status reports, the questions he asked in meetings, the fact that he'd started arriving earlier and staying later, pushing himself harder than anyone asked him to. "You're going to burn out," she said one afternoon. They were in her office reviewing the project management proposal he'd spent 3 weeks developing. "I'm fine. You look exhausted." "I'm fine," Ryan repeated. Sophia closed the document. "When's the last time you took a day off?" "I don't need—" That wasn't the question. Ryan tried to remember. "Before I started here?" "That's what I thought." She pulled up her calendar. "You're taking next Monday off, non-negotiable." "Sophia, I can't. The implementation timeline. We'll survive without you for 1 day. Trust your team. That's what they're there for." "But, Ryan." She met his eyes. "You're valuable to this company, but you're no good to me if you collapse. Take the day. Spend it with your daughter. Come back Tuesday ready to work." He wanted to argue more, but something in her expression stopped him. It wasn't just the CEO giving orders, it was something softer, more personal, like she actually cared whether he broke himself trying to prove he belonged. "Okay," he said. "Monday." "Good. Now show me the implementation timeline." They spent the next hour dissecting his proposal. Sophia challenged every assumption, pushed back on timelines, demanded justification for resource allocation. It was exhausting and exhilarating in equal measure. By the time they finished, Ryan's proposal was sharper, tighter, better. "This is good work," Sophia said as he gathered his materials. "Really good. Thanks. I mean it. You have instincts most people take years to develop. Don't waste them by working yourself into the ground." Ryan paused at the door. "Can I ask you something?" "You're going to anyway." "Why do you care about whether I burn out, I mean? You could replace me tomorrow if you wanted." Sophia was quiet for a moment. "I could, but I don't want to. You remind me of something I'd forgotten." "What's that?" "That competence and humanity aren't mutually exclusive." She turned back to her computer. "Now go home. I'm sure your daughter misses you." Ryan left, Sophia's words echoing in his head. The office was mostly empty. It was past 7. He'd missed another bedtime story. That made 5. When he got home, Emma was already asleep. Patricia was on the couch watching TV. "Long day?" she asked. "They're all long days." "She asked about you at dinner, wanted to know if you'd be home to say goodnight." The guilt hit him like a physical thing. "I'm sorry." "Don't apologize to me. Apologize to her." Patricia stood and grabbed her purse. "Ryan, I know this job is important. But she's 6. She won't remember the promotions or the projects. She'll remember whether you were there." After Patricia left, Ryan checked on Emma. She was curled up with Berlin the bear, her face peaceful in sleep. He sat on the edge of her bed and just watched her breathe for a while. "I'm trying," he whispered. "I promise I'm trying." She didn't answer. She was dreaming about whatever 6-year-olds dreamed about, probably something better than project timelines and status reports. Monday came. Ryan woke up with no alarm for the first time in months and actually had breakfast with Emma instead of grabbing something on the way out the door. "No work today?" she asked, suspicious. "Nope, just us." "What do you want to do?" "Really? Anything?" "Anything." Emma's face lit up. "The Children's Museum with the water table and the bubble room." "Done. Go get dressed." They spent the entire day there. Emma dragged him through every exhibit, made him help build structures in the construction zone, insisted he try the bubble machine that made bubbles big enough to stand inside. Ryan's phone buzzed occasionally with work emails, but he ignored them. For one day, he was just dad, not director of strategic projects, not the guy trying to prove he deserved his job, just the father of a 6-year-old who wanted to play in bubbles. On the drive home, Emma fell asleep in her car seat, exhausted and happy. Ryan glanced at her in the rearview mirror and felt something shift in his chest. Patricia was right. This was what mattered, not the healthcare project or the implementation timeline or impressing Sophia Laurent. This. But the next morning, reality crashed back in. Marcus Webb called him into his office first thing Tuesday. "We need to talk about your utilization rate," Marcus said, without preamble. Ryan sat down. "My what?" "Billable hours, client-facing work. You've been spending too much time on internal projects that don't generate revenue." The project management overhaul was approved by Sophia. "I'm aware. I'm also aware that it's taking longer than projected and costing more than budgeted. That reflects poorly on you. We're 2 weeks into a 3-month implementation. Of course, there are costs up front. I don't need excuses. I need results." Marcus leaned back in his chair. "Look, Ryan, I'm going to be straight with you. Some of us weren't convinced you were the right hire. Sophia overruled us, which is her prerogative. But that means you're under more scrutiny than most. Every mistake gets magnified. I understand. Do you? Because taking random Mondays off when you're already behind doesn't inspire confidence." So that was it. Someone had noticed his day off and reported it to Marcus. "Sophia approved that day off," Ryan said carefully. "She insisted on it, actually. Sophia has a blind spot where you're concerned. I don't." Marcus opened a folder on his desk. "I'm assigning you to the Riverside account. They're one of our oldest clients, and they're threatening to leave because they feel neglected. I need you to fix it." "What about the project management implementation?" "Jennifer can handle the day-to-day. You focus on Riverside. They're worth $10 million a year. That's more important than internal process improvement." Ryan wanted to argue that you couldn't scale a company without good internal processes, but he also knew that arguing with Marcus was like arguing with a wall. The wall always won. "When do I start?" he asked. "You started yesterday. I sent you the files last night." Ryan pulled out his phone. Sure enough, there was an email from Marcus sent at 11 p.m. with about 50 attachments. "Anything else?" Ryan asked. "Yeah, prove me wrong. Show me Sophia wasn't making a mistake." Ryan left Marcus's office feeling like he'd been punched. Back at his desk, he opened the Riverside files. The situation was worse than Marcus had implied. The client, a regional bank with branches across 3 states, was furious about missed deadlines, poor communication, and what they perceived as Laurent Technologies treating them like a low priority. The account manager had quit 2 weeks ago, and nobody had bothered to tell the client. They'd found out when their emails bounced. Ryan spent the morning reading through 2 years of correspondence, trying to piece together what had gone wrong and how to fix it. By lunch, he had a headache and a growing sense that this was a test designed for him to fail. His phone rang. Sophia. "Marcus told me about Riverside, she said when he answered. "Did he tell you it's a disaster?" "He told me it was a challenge. Those aren't the same thing. Sophia, I can't fix 2 years of mismanagement in a few weeks." "No, but you can stop the bleeding and start rebuilding trust. That's all they want. Someone who gives a damn." "I don't know anything about banking." "You don't need to. You know about relationships and communication and follow-through. That's what they're missing." Ryan rubbed his eyes. "This feels like Marcus setting me up." "It is, but that doesn't mean you can't succeed anyway." Sophia paused. "I have a meeting in 5 minutes, but listen, I wouldn't have given you this job if I didn't think you could handle it. Marcus sees you as a risk. Prove him wrong." She hung up before he could respond. Ryan looked at the mountain of files on his screen and made a decision. He picked up the phone and called the Riverside CEO directly. The assistant who answered sounded surprised that someone from Laurent Technologies was actually calling. "Mr. Harrison doesn't take unsolicited calls," she said. "Tell him Ryan Carter from Laurent is calling to apologize and ask for 15 minutes of his time. If he's not interested after 15 minutes, I'll hang up and never bother him again." There was a long pause, then, "Hold, please." 2 minutes later, a gruff voice came on the line. This better be good. "Mr. Harrison, my name is Ryan Carter. I'm the new account director for Riverside. I've spent the morning reading through your account history, and I want to start by saying you have every right to be angry. We dropped the ball multiple times, and nobody bothered to tell you when your primary contact left. That's unacceptable." Silence. Then, "You're the first person from your company to admit that. It shouldn't have taken this long. I can't fix what's already happened, but I can tell you what happens next. I'm going to personally oversee your account. You'll have my direct line. I'll send you weekly updates whether there's news or not. And if we screw up again, which I hope we won't, but I'm not going to promise perfection, I'll tell you immediately so we can fix it together." More silence. Ryan held his breath. "Weekly updates sound like a lot of meetings," Harrison finally said. "Email unless you want to call. Your choice." "Email's fine, but I want detailed updates, not corporate speak." "Deal. Can I ask you a question?" "Go ahead." "Then what would it take for you to give us another chance? Not forever, just 60 days to prove we can do better?" Harrison laughed. A short, sharp sound. "You're either very brave or very stupid. Probably both. Fine, 60 days, but Carter, if you're blowing smoke, I'll personally make sure everyone in the industry knows Laurent Technologies can't be trusted. Clear?" "Crystal clear. Thank you, Mr. Harrison." "Don't thank me yet. Earn it." The line went dead. Ryan sat back in his chair, heart pounding. He just committed to saving an account that was already halfway out the door. If he succeeded, it would prove Marcus wrong. If he failed, it would confirm every doubt anyone had about hiring him. No pressure. He worked through lunch drafting a recovery plan for Riverside. By 3 p.m., he had something he didn't hate. He sent it to Sophia for review, then went back to the project management implementation because that hadn't disappeared just because Marcus had given him another job to do. His phone buzzed. Emma's school. His stomach dropped. "Hello?" "Mr. Carter, this is Principal Morris. Emma's fine, but we need you to come pick her up. She's been in the nurse's office complaining of a stomach ache." "Is it serious?" "The nurse doesn't think so, but Emma's quite upset and asking for you." Ryan looked at his screen. The Riverside plan needed work. The implementation had a meeting in an hour. There were 17 unread emails marked urgent. "I'll be there in 20 minutes, he said. He grabbed his laptop and headed for the door. Linda Zhao was walking past. "Where are you going?" she asked. "We have the implementation review in 45 minutes. Emma's sick. I have to pick her up." Linda's expression softened. "Is she okay?" "Stomach ache, probably nothing, but go. I'll cover the meeting. You can call in if Emma's okay." "Thank you." "Just, Ryan, be careful. Marcus is watching you. Days off, leaving early. He's keeping track." Noted. The drive to Emma's school took 15 minutes. She was sitting in the nurse's office, looking small and miserable. When she saw him, her face crumpled. "Dad." "Hey, sweetheart. What's going on?" "My stomach hurts." Ryan put his hand on her forehead. "No fever." "Did you eat something bad?" Emma shook her head. The nurse gave him a knowing look. "Can I talk to you outside, Mr. Carter?" she asked. In the hallway, the nurse spoke quietly. "Physically, Emma's fine, but I think this is anxiety-related. She's been in here 3 times this week with vague complaints, usually around lunchtime. Is someone bothering her?" "I don't think so, but something's stressing her out. Has there been any change at home, new routines, less time with you, anything like that?" Ryan felt like he'd been slapped. "I started a new job a few months ago. I've been working more." The nurse nodded sympathetically. Kids Emma's age often express anxiety through physical symptoms. The stomach is a common one. She might not even realize she's anxious. She just knows her stomach hurts. "What do I do?" "More stability, predictable schedule. Time together that's just about being together, not rushing from one thing to the next. The nurse smiled gently. I know that's easier said than done, but Emma needs to know you're there. Really, there. Ryan took Emma home. She fell asleep on the couch within an hour, exhausted from whatever emotional weight she'd been carrying. He sat next to her and opened his laptop, trying to work while she slept. He made it through 2 emails before giving up. The nurse's words kept circling in his head. More stability, predictable schedule, time together. He was failing, not at work. He was actually succeeding there, despite Marcus's doubts. But he was failing at the thing that actually mattered. His phone rang. Sophia. How's Emma? She asked immediately. Asleep. The nurse thinks it's anxiety. Because of the job? Because I'm not around enough. Sophia was quiet for a moment. Linda said you had to leave before the implementation review. I know. I'm sorry. Don't apologize. I'm not calling about that. I'm calling because… She paused. I saw your Riverside plan. It's good. Thanks. And I've been thinking about what you said. About this being a test Marcus designed you to fail. It is. Probably. But here's the thing. Marcus doesn't understand what I see in you. He thinks competence is about credentials and experience. He doesn't get that sometimes the best person for a job is the one who's already survived worse. What are you saying? I'm saying you're going to save that account. Not because you're technically brilliant, but because you actually care about people. Harrison responded to you because you were honest. That's something Marcus could never do. Ryan looked at Emma sleeping next to him. I don't know if I can do both. Be the person you need at work and the father Emma needs at home. Then we figure out how to make it work, together. Sophia's voice was firm. I didn't hire you to watch you fail, Ryan. I hired you because I believed in you. That hasn't changed. After they hung up, Ryan sat in the quiet apartment and tried to figure out what came next. The Riverside account needed attention. The implementation was behind schedule. Emma needed stability. He needed sleep. He couldn't do it all. Not perfectly. But maybe perfect wasn't the point. Maybe the point was just showing up, being honest, trying. Emma stirred and opened her eyes. Dad? Right here, sweetheart. Are you staying? Yeah, I'm staying. Promise? Ryan closed his laptop. Promise. They ordered pizza for dinner, Emma's favorite, pepperoni and extra cheese. While they ate, she told him about a girl at school who'd shared her crayons and a boy who'd fallen off the monkey bars but was okay. Normal 6-year-old stuff. Ryan listened to every word. After dinner, they built a blanket fort in the living room and watched a movie inside it. Emma fell asleep halfway through, sprawled across his lap. Ryan didn't move. He just sat there, his daughter's weight warm against him, and tried to remember the last time he'd felt this present. His phone buzzed. Work emails, status updates, questions that technically could wait but probably shouldn't. He ignored them all. Tomorrow he'd deal with Riverside and Marcus and the implementation timeline. Tomorrow he'd figure out how to be good at his job without sacrificing his daughter. But tonight, he was just Dad. And that was enough. Around 10 p.m., he carried Emma to bed. She woke up just enough to mumble something about the fort still being there tomorrow. It'll be there, Ryan promised. And you'll be here? I'll be here. She fell back asleep. Ryan stood in her doorway for a long time, watching her breathe, making silent promises he hoped he could keep. His phone buzzed again. This time he looked. An email from Sophia sent 5 minutes ago. Stop checking your email and get some sleep. That's an order. Ryan smiled despite everything. He typed back, Yes, ma'am. Her response came immediately. Good. See you tomorrow. Ryan went to bed for the first time before midnight in weeks. He lay in the dark, thinking about everything he was trying to balance, work and family, ambition and presence, proving himself and being himself. It felt impossible. But impossible things happened every day. He'd survived losing Claire. He'd raised Emma alone for 3 years. He'd gotten this job when he had no business getting it. Maybe he could figure out how to do this too. Maybe balance wasn't about perfect distribution. Maybe it was about knowing which thing needed you most in any given moment and showing up for that. Right now, Emma needed him. Tomorrow, work would need him. And somehow, he'd find a way to be enough for both. The weeks that followed were a careful dance. Ryan worked furiously during school hours, taking calls in his car, drafting plans during lunch breaks, doing whatever it took to make progress without staying late. He picked Emma up every day by 6. They had dinner together. He read her bedtime stories. He was there. The Riverside account slowly stabilized. Harrison was still skeptical, but Ryan's weekly updates were detailed and honest, and that built credibility over time. When a deadline got missed, because of course one did, Ryan called Harrison immediately to explain what happened and what they were doing to fix it. Harrison appreciated the honesty. "You're not like the others yet," Harrison said during one call. "You actually tell me the truth." "That's the only way this works," Ryan replied. "Keep it up. You might save this relationship after all." The project management implementation finally launched. It was messy and imperfect and required constant troubleshooting, but it worked. Department heads who'd been skeptical started seeing the benefits. Jennifer sent Ryan an email that just said, "We did it with about 15 exclamation points." Marcus didn't congratulate him, but he stopped openly questioning Ryan's decisions in meetings, which felt like progress. And Sophia. Sophia was a constant presence, not hovering, but checking in, making sure Ryan wasn't drowning, adjusting expectations when needed, protecting him from Marcus's worst impulses. "Why do you do that?" Ryan asked her one day. They were in her office reviewing the quarterly results. "Do what?" "Protect me. You could let Marcus push me out. It would be easier." Sophia set down her pen. "Easier for who?" "For you. No drama, no accusations of favoritism." "Ryan, do you know why I built this company?" "To make money?" "Partially, but mostly because I was tired of working for people who valued politics over performance. I wanted to create something different, a place where good work actually mattered." She met his eyes. "You do good work. Marcus doesn't like you because you didn't come from the right schools or work at the right companies. But you deliver. And I'm not going to punish you for that just to make him comfortable. That's principled. That's business. You make me money. Marcus knows it, even if he won't admit it." Sophia smiled slightly. "Plus, I like having someone around who doesn't kiss my ass." "I'm pretty sure that's my job description." "No. Your job is to tell me when I'm wrong and make me better. You're very good at it." Ryan felt something warm in his chest. "Thank you." "Don't thank me. Just keep showing up." He did, day after day, week after week. Showing up for Emma, showing up for work, showing up for himself. And slowly, impossibly, it started to feel sustainable. Not perfect, never perfect, but sustainable. And for the first time since Claire died, Ryan started to believe that maybe he could actually do this. Not just survive, but build something, a career, a life, a future, for both of them. The Richter deal consumed the next 2 months like a slow-burning fire. Ryan coordinated conference calls across 6 time zones, navigated legal documents he barely understood, and learned to function on 5 hours of sleep. The team he'd been given, 4 people pulled from different departments, looked at him like he was a temporary inconvenience. He had to earn their respect one decision at a time. Emma noticed the change immediately. "You're always on the phone," she said one evening. They were supposed to be watching a movie, but Ryan's laptop was open on the coffee table, email notifications pinging every few minutes. "Just one more message, sweetheart." "You said that an hour ago." She was right. He closed the laptop. "Okay, movie. You have my full attention. Promise?" "Promise." They made it 20 minutes before his phone rang. Sophia's name appeared on the screen. Emma's face fell. "I have to take this," Ryan said. "I'm sorry." He walked into the kitchen. "Hey, we have a problem," Sophia said without preamble. "Klaus is pushing back on the data sovereignty clauses. He wants everything routed through German servers, which violates our architecture plan. Can we compromise?" "Not without rebuilding half the infrastructure. I need you to draft a response by tomorrow morning. Technical justification for why his approach won't work." Ryan looked back at the living room. Emma had paused the movie and was staring at the blank screen. "Tomorrow morning," he said. "I'll have it ready." "Good. How's the integration timeline looking?" "On track, barely." "Barely isn't good enough. Klaus is looking for any excuse to renegotiate terms. We need to be flawless." I understand. Sophia hung up. Ryan stood in the kitchen for a long moment, phone in hand, before returning to the living room. I have to work tonight, he told Emma. After you go to bed. Okay, she said quietly. I'm sorry. It's okay. But it wasn't okay. He could see it in the way she wouldn't look at him, the way her shoulders hunched slightly. She was 6 years old and already learning to accept disappointment as routine. Ryan sat down next to her on the couch. Hey, look at me. She did. I know this isn't fair. I know I'm asking you to be patient while I figure all this out. But I need you to understand something. I'm doing this for us, so we can have a better life. We had a good life before, Emma said. Before what? Before you went back to work. The words hit him harder than they should have, because she was right. Before the job, before Laurent Technologies, they'd had less money, but more time. More moments like this, more of him actually being present instead of physically there, but mentally somewhere else. I can't go back to that, Ryan said. We were barely making it. I don't care about money. You will when you're older. Emma didn't respond. She just unpaused the movie and curled up against his side. Ryan put his arm around her and tried to focus on the screen, but his mind was already drafting the response to Klaus, running through technical arguments, anticipating counterpoints. He stayed with her until she fell asleep, then carried her to bed and went back to work. The response took him until 3 in the morning. The next day at the office, Sophia read it in silence while Ryan stood in front of her desk like a student waiting for a grade. This is good, she finally said. Send it. That's it? What else do you want? A gold star? She closed the document. Klaus will push back anyway, but this gives us ammunition. Good work. Ryan turned to leave. One more thing, Sophia said. The board wants a progress presentation next week. You'll be presenting. Me? Why not you? Because you're the project director. They want to hear from the person actually managing it. She met his eyes. This is what you signed up for, Ryan. Don't get cold feet now. I'm not. You're afraid you'll screw it up in front of 12 board members who control the future of this company. Yeah, that. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. Sophia returned to her computer. Presentation is Thursday at 2. Don't be boring. Ryan spent the next week preparing. He rehearsed the presentation during his commute, during lunch, during the precious hour between putting Emma to bed and collapsing into his own. The board meeting loomed like an exam he couldn't afford to fail. Thursday arrived too quickly. The boardroom was on the top floor, a space Ryan had never entered before. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a table that could seat 20, leather chairs that probably cost more than his monthly salary. The board members filed in, men and women in expensive suits, carrying the kind of confidence that came from never having to worry about anything as mundane as rent. Sophia sat at the head of the table. She gave Ryan a slight nod. He began. The presentation covered the Richter deal timeline, technical milestones, risk mitigation strategies. He kept it focused, data-driven, exactly the way Sophia had taught him. The board members listened with varying degrees of attention. Some took notes. Others stared at their phones. Marcus Webb interrupted halfway through. These timelines assume perfect execution. What happens when something goes wrong? We've built buffer into the critical path, Ryan said. 2 weeks per major milestone. If we hit delays, we have room to adjust without impacting the final delivery date. And if the delays are longer than 2 weeks, then we escalate to Richter immediately and renegotiate expectations. Transparency is built into the contract. Marcus leaned back. Transparency doesn't pay penalty fees. Neither does lying about our capacity, Ryan said evenly. Richter values honesty. Klaus Bergman made that clear in Berlin. A few board members exchanged glances. Ryan couldn't tell if they were impressed or annoyed. He finished the presentation and opened the floor for questions. They came rapid fire. Budget concerns, compliance issues, technical feasibility. Ryan answered each one, drawing on the hundreds of hours he'd spent buried in documentation and vendor calls. When it was over, Sophia dismissed him. "Wait outside, ye," she said. Ryan left. He stood in the hallway for 20 minutes, checking his phone, replaying every answer he'd given. cataloging every moment where he might have sounded uncertain or unprepared. The boardroom door opened. Sophia emerged. "They're satisfied," she said. "For now." "That's it? What did you expect? Applause?" She started walking toward the elevators. Ryan followed. "Marcus still thinks you're out of your depth, but the others are coming around. Keep delivering and they'll forget they ever doubted you. And if I don't keep delivering, then you'll confirm everything they already suspected." Sophia pressed the elevator button. "Welcome to leadership, Ryan. It's a performance that never ends." The elevator arrived. They stepped inside. Sophia hit the button for the 5th floor, Ryan's floor. "Can I ask you something?" Ryan said. "You're going to anyway. Do you ever regret it, choosing this over everything else?" Sophia was quiet for a moment. The elevator descended smoothly, the numbers ticking down on the display. "Every choice costs something," she finally said. "The question isn't whether you'll regret it. It's whether what you gain is worth what you lose." "And is it? For you?" The elevator stopped. The doors opened. "Ask me again in 20 years, Sophia said. Ryan stepped out. The doors closed behind him. That night, Emma's school called. She'd gotten into a fight during recess, pushed another kid who'd been teasing her about not having a mother. The school wanted Ryan to come pick her up immediately. He was in the middle of a meeting with the development team. Critical issues, tight deadlines, the kind of conversation that couldn't be postponed. "I have to go," he told them. "Family emergency." Linda looked at him sharply. "We're not done here." "I know. I'll call in from the car." He drove to Emma's school doing 70 in a 45 zone, his mind split between his daughter and the project milestones they'd been discussing. Emma was waiting in the principal's office, arms crossed, face streaked with tears. "Mr. Carter," the principal said, "we need to talk about Emma's behavior." "What happened?" "She shoved another student. We have a zero-tolerance policy for violence." Ryan looked at his daughter. "Emma? He said Mom left because she didn't love us," Emma burst out. "He said she's never coming back and that's why you're always gone now too." Ryan's chest tightened. He turned to the principal. "What's the other kid's consequence?" "Excuse me? He bullied my daughter about her dead mother. What happens to him?" The principal shifted uncomfortably. "We'll address that separately. Right now, my daughter defended herself against someone who was being cruel. I'm not saying violence is the answer, but I'm also not going to pretend this happened in a vacuum. Mr. Carter, I understand you're upset. I'm not upset. I'm asking what happens next." They settled on a one-day suspension for Emma and a stern warning for the other student. Ryan knew it wasn't fair, but he also knew pushing harder wouldn't help. He took Emma's hand and walked her to the car. She was quiet the whole drive home. "Am I in trouble?" she finally asked. "No, but I got suspended." "You made a bad choice. That doesn't mean you're a bad person." Ryan glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "What that kid said wasn't okay, but pushing him won't stop people from saying mean things." "Then what do I do?" "You tell a teacher. You walk away. You remember that kids who say stuff like that are usually dealing with their own pain. That's stupid." "Yeah," Ryan agreed. "It kind of is." When they got home, his phone was buzzing with missed calls. Linda, Sophia, 2 people from the development team. He'd promised to call back from the car and had completely forgotten. He looked at Emma. She was sitting on the couch, still in her school clothes, staring at nothing. "Pizza for dinner?" he asked. She nodded. He ordered pizza and ignored the phone calls. They ate in silence, Emma picking at her food, Ryan trying to figure out what he was supposed to say. He'd read parenting books after Claire died, dozens of them, but none of them covered this. The intersection of grief and discipline and trying to keep your own life from falling apart while being present for someone else's. "I miss her too," he said finally. "Every single day." Emma looked up. "Really?" "Of course, she was my person, the one I told everything to. Losing her was..." He stopped. Some things couldn't be put into words. "It was the hardest thing I've ever been through." "Do you think she'd be proud of us?" "I think she'd be proud of you." "What about you?" Ryan set down his pizza. "I don't know. I'm doing my best, but I'm not sure it's good enough." "You're a good dad," Emma said quietly. I'm trying to be. That's the same thing, isn't it? Ryan pulled her into a hug. She clung to him, and for a few minutes the phone calls and the projects and the board meetings didn't matter. There was just this, his daughter, his responsibility, the one thing he couldn't afford to fail at. His phone rang again. Sophia. I have to take this, he said. Emma pulled away and went back to her pizza without a word. Ryan answered. Hey, where the hell have you been? Sophia's voice was sharp. We've been waiting for your input for 2 hours. Emma's school called. She got suspended. I don't care. You committed to this project. That means being available when we need you. Something in Ryan snapped. My daughter was sitting in the principal's office crying because some kid told her that her dead mother didn't love her. I'm sorry if that's inconvenient for your timeline. Silence on the other end. I'm not saying the project doesn't matter, Ryan continued, his voice tight. I'm saying I can't be everywhere at once. And right now, Emma needed me more than you did. Is she okay? Sophia asked, her tone shifting slightly. No, but she will be. And the meeting? Send me the notes. I'll catch up tonight. Ryan, I'm not apologizing for this. If that's a problem, we can discuss it tomorrow. He hung up before she could respond. Emma was watching him from the couch. Are you going to get fired? I don't think so. But you yelled at your boss. I didn't yell. I just set boundaries. What's that mean? It means sometimes you have to tell people no, even when it's scary. Emma considered this. Like when you told the principal he was wrong? Yeah, like that. That night, after Emma was asleep, Ryan opened his laptop and reviewed the meeting notes. The development team had made decisions he didn't agree with, but it was too late to change them now. He drafted an email outlining his concerns, then deleted it, and wrote a simpler version that acknowledged the path forward without burning bridges. He hit send at midnight. An email from Sophia arrived 5 minutes later. We need to talk. My office, 8 a.m. tomorrow. Ryan stared at the message. This was it. Either she was going to back him up or cut him loose. There wasn't much middle ground with Sophia Laurent. He went to bed but didn't sleep. His mind kept replaying the conversation, analyzing every word, every tone shift. By the time his alarm went off at 6, he'd convinced himself he was getting fired. He dropped Emma off at Patricia's. The suspension meant she couldn't go to school, and drove to the office in silence. The city was just waking up, traffic light, the sky gray with early morning clouds. Sophia's office door was open. She was already at her desk, reading something on her computer. Close the door, she said without looking up. Ryan closed it and sat down. Sophia finally met his eyes. I was out of line yesterday. That wasn't what he'd expected. You were doing your job, Ryan said carefully. My job isn't to make you choose between your daughter and this company. She leaned back in her chair. I told you once that some things can't be gotten back. I meant it. And yesterday, when you hung up on me, I realized I was pushing you toward the same mistake I made. What mistake? Believing that success requires sacrifice, that you can't have both. Sophia's expression was unreadable. I was wrong. Or maybe I was right for me but wrong for you. I don't know. But I do know that if I keep demanding you prioritize this job over your daughter, eventually one of two things will happen. Either you'll resent me or you'll lose her. I don't want either. Ryan didn't know what to say. I'm not saying the work doesn't matter, Sophia continued. It does. But so does your kid. And if we can't figure out how to make room for both, then what the hell are we building here? I thought you didn't do sentiment. I don't. This is pragmatic. I can't afford to lose you. You're too valuable. She opened a drawer and pulled out a folder. I'm hiring an assistant project manager to handle the day-to-day operations, someone who can take calls when you're dealing with Emma. It'll free you up to focus on strategy instead of logistics. Sophia, don't argue. It's already approved. Interview candidates start Monday. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just keep delivering. She turned back to her computer. Now get out of here. You've got work to do. Ryan stood. He got halfway to the door before he stopped. Can I ask you something? He said. You're going to anyway. Do you regret it? Not having kids? Sophia was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was softer than he'd ever heard it. "I regret not knowing if I would have been good at it," she said. "That's not the same thing as wishing I'd made a different choice, but it's close enough." Ryan nodded and left. The weeks that followed were better. The assistant project manager, a woman named Jennifer Chen, who'd worked in operations for 5 years, took over the tactical firefighting that had consumed Ryan's days. He still worked long hours, but they were focused hours. Strategic decisions instead of endless email chains. Emma noticed the difference. "You're home for dinner more," she said one evening. "I'm trying." "It's nice." Ryan smiled. "Yeah, it is." The Richter deal moved forward. Milestones were hit, deliverables approved, Klaus Bergman's objections gradually wearing down as the project proved its viability. Ryan and Sophia fell into a rhythm, weekly strategy sessions where they debated approaches and pushed back on each other's assumptions. "You're getting better at this," Sophia said during one meeting. 3 months ago, you wouldn't have challenged me on that timeline." 3 months ago, I was afraid you'd fire me." "I still might." "No, you won't." Sophia almost smiled. "Cocky. I like it." But the calm didn't last. It was a Tuesday afternoon in mid-April when Emma's school called again. This time it wasn't about a fight. "Mr. Carter, Emma collapsed during gym class. The paramedics are on the way." Ryan's blood went cold. "What do you mean collapsed?" "She was running and just went down. She's conscious, but she's saying her chest hurts." "I'm on my way." He ran out of the office without explanation, leaving his laptop open, his phone on his desk. The drive to the school was a blur. His hands shook on the steering wheel. All he could think about was Emma's face, the way she'd looked that morning at breakfast, smiling over her cereal, completely normal. The ambulance was already there when he arrived. Emma was on a stretcher, an oxygen mask over her face, a paramedic taking her vitals. "Dad!" She reached for him. He grabbed her hand. "I'm here, baby. I'm right here." "It hurts." "I know. They're going to help you." The paramedic looked at him. "Are you the father?" "Yes, what's happening?" "We're not sure yet. Her heart rate is elevated and irregular. We need to get her to the hospital." "I'm coming with you." They loaded Emma into the ambulance. Ryan climbed in beside her, holding her hand, watching the paramedic attach monitors and start an IV. Emma's eyes were wide with fear. "Am I going to die?" she whispered. "No, absolutely not." "You promise?" Ryan couldn't promise that. He couldn't promise anything, but he looked at his daughter's terrified face and said, "I promise." The hospital was chaos. Doctors, nurses, machines beeping, voices overlapping. They took Emma back for tests immediately. Ryan was left in a waiting room with fluorescent lights and plastic chairs and magazines from 6 months ago. He tried calling Patricia. Voicemail. He tried calling the office to let them know what happened. His phone was still on his desk. He sat down and put his head in his hands and tried to breathe. An hour passed, then 2. A doctor finally came out. "Mr. Carter?" Ryan stood. "How is she?" "She's stable. We're running more tests, but it looks like she had an arrhythmia, an irregular heartbeat. It's not uncommon in children, but we want to make sure there's no underlying condition." "Is she in danger?" "Right now, no, but we need to monitor her overnight." "Can I see her?" "Of course." Emma was in a hospital bed, still connected to monitors, but the oxygen mask was gone. She looked small and fragile against the white sheets. "Hey, sweetheart," Ryan said. He sat on the edge of the bed and took her hand. "I don't like it here." "I know, but they're taking good care of you." "Are you staying?" "I'm not going anywhere." Emma's eyes started to close. The medication they'd given her was kicking in. Ryan sat with her until she fell asleep, then moved to the chair by the window and stared out at the city. His mind was blank. No thoughts. No plans. Just the sound of Emma's breathing and the steady beep of the heart monitor. At some point, a nurse brought him coffee. He didn't drink it. At some point, the sun set. At some point, his phone, still back at the office, started ringing with calls he'd never answer. Because right now, in this moment, none of it mattered. Not the Richter deal, not the promotion, not Sophia or the board or the career he'd been building. There was only Emma, and the promise he'd made her in the ambulance. a promise he had no idea how to keep. The hospital room smelled like antiseptic and recycled air. Ryan sat in the chair by the window watching Emma sleep, her chest rising and falling in rhythm with the monitor's steady beep. Every few minutes, a nurse came in to check vitals, smile professionally, and leave without saying much. The night stretched on forever. Around 3 in the morning, Ryan's eyes finally closed. He woke to sunlight streaming through the blinds and Emma staring at him. "You look terrible," she said. "Good morning to you, too." "Did you sleep in that chair?" "Yeah. That's dumb. There's a couch." Ryan looked. There was indeed a couch on the other side of the room. He'd been too exhausted to notice. "Thanks for the tip." A different doctor came in around 8, younger than the one from yesterday, with the kind of energy that suggested too much coffee and not enough sleep. "Mr. Carter? I'm Dr. Patel. I've been reviewing Emma's test results." Ryan stood. "And?" "The good news is we haven't found any structural heart problems. No defects, no disease. The arrhythmia appears to have been stress-induced." "Stress? She's 6. Children experience stress differently than adults, but it's just as real. Has there been any significant changes in her life recently? New school, family situations, anything like that?" Ryan felt something twist in his chest. "Her mother died 3 years ago, and I started a new job a few months back. I've been working a lot." Dr. Patel nodded like this confirmed something. Emotional stress can manifest physically, especially in children who don't have the vocabulary to express what they're feeling. The heart responds to psychological pressure just like it responds to physical exertion. "So this is my fault?" "That's not what I'm saying, but Emma needs stability right now. Predictable routines, emotional support, time with you. The medication we've prescribed will help regulate her heartbeat, but the real treatment is addressing the underlying anxiety." Emma was watching them both, her expression carefully blank. "When can she go home?" Ryan asked. "This afternoon, if her levels stay stable. But I want to see her back here in 2 weeks for a follow-up. And Mr. Carter," Dr. Patel's voice softened, "take care of yourself too. Kids pick up on parental stress more than we realize." After the doctor left, Ryan sat on the edge of Emma's bed. "I'm sorry," he said. "For what?" "For not being there enough. For making you worry." "I'm not worried." "Emma," she picked at the hospital blanket, "I just don't want you to go away like Mom did." "I'm not going anywhere." "You're always at work." "I know, and that's going to change. You said that before." She was right. He had said it before, multiple times, and every time something had come up. Another deadline, another crisis, another reason why the job had to come first. "This time I mean it," Ryan said. Emma looked at him with eyes too old for her face. "Okay." She didn't believe him. He could tell. They discharged Emma at 2 in the afternoon with a prescription, a list of warning signs to watch for, and instructions to avoid strenuous activity for a week. Ryan carried her to the car, even though she insisted she could walk. She fell asleep before they made it home. His phone had 17 missed calls. He'd retrieved it from the office that morning during the brief window when Patricia came to sit with Emma. Most of the calls were from work. 3 were from Sophia. He carried Emma inside and tucked her into bed, then stood in the kitchen staring at his phone. He should call the office, explain what happened, make sure the Richter deal hadn't completely fallen apart in his absence. Instead, he called Patricia. "How is she?" Patricia asked immediately. "Home. Resting. The doctors say it's stress-related." "Oh, Ryan, I know. What are you going to do?" "I don't know, but I can't keep doing this. Something has to change." "Do you need me to come over?" "No, we're okay. I needed to hear a friendly voice. Call me if that changes." After he hung up, Ryan made tea he didn't drink and stared out the window at the street below. A normal Tuesday afternoon. People walking dogs, delivery trucks double parked. Life continuing like his entire world hadn't just shifted on its axis. His phone rang. "Sophia." He answered. "Hey." "Where the hell have you been?" Her voice was sharp. "You disappeared yesterday with no explanation. The Richter team has been trying to reach you. Klaus is threatening to pull out of the deal because we missed a critical call. Emma's in the hospital." Silence. She had a heart arrhythmia, Ryan continued. Collapsed at school. They kept her overnight for observation. We just got home. Is she okay? For now, it's stress-related. The doctor said she needs stability. More silence. Then, what does that mean? It means I can't do this anymore, Sophia. The long hours, the constant travel, the pressure, it's killing her. So what are you saying? I'm saying I need to step back, find someone else to run the Richter deal. I can't be the person you need me to be, and also be the father Emma needs. Ryan, listen to me. No, you listen. You told me once that I'd have to choose eventually. You were right, and I'm choosing her. Don't make this decision right now. You're exhausted and scared, and I'm clear-headed for the first time in months. I'm done, Sophia. I'm sorry. He hung up before she could respond. The apartment was quiet. Emma was still sleeping. Ryan sat on the couch and put his head in his hands and tried to figure out what came next. No job meant no income. No income meant they'd burn through his savings in 3 months, maybe 4 if he was careful. After that, he didn't want to think about after that. But Emma was alive. She was home. She was safe. That had to be enough. His phone rang again. He ignored it. It rang 4 more times over the next hour. Text messages piled up. He turned the phone off entirely. Emma woke up around 5. She shuffled into the living room wrapped in her blanket, hair sticking up in every direction. Hey, sweetheart, Ryan said. How are you feeling? Tired and hungry. What do you want to eat? Pancakes. For dinner? Aunt Trish said it's allowed. Ryan smiled despite everything. Aunt Trish is a bad influence, but yeah, okay, pancakes for dinner. They made them together, Emma sitting on the counter, directing operations while Ryan mixed batter and heated the pan. It was the most normal thing they'd done in weeks. When they sat down to eat, Emma drowned her stack in syrup and declared them the best pancakes ever. Even better than Aunt Trish's? Ryan asked. Don't tell her, but yeah. After dinner, they watched a movie. Emma fell asleep halfway through, curled up against Ryan's side. He carried her to bed for the second time that day, tucked her in, and stood in the doorway watching her breathe. The heart monitor wasn't there anymore, but he could still hear that steady beep in his mind, the sound of her being alive, being okay. He went back to the living room and turned his phone back on. 23 missed calls, 37 text messages. He scrolled through them without reading. Most were work. A few were from Patricia. One was from Sophia, sent 2 hours ago. We need to talk, in person, tomorrow. Ryan typed back, There's nothing to talk about. I already told you my decision. The reply came 30 seconds later. I'm coming over. Don't argue. Ryan stared at the message. Before he could respond, there was a knock at the door. He opened it. Sophia stood in the hallway, still wearing her work clothes, looking more disheveled than he'd ever seen her. Her hair was coming loose from its usual perfect style. She looked tired. You turned your phone off, she said. I needed space to think. Can I come in? Ryan hesitated, then stepped aside. Sophia walked into the small apartment and looked around like she was cataloging every detail. The worn furniture, the crayon drawings stuck to the fridge, the stack of medical bills on the counter Ryan hadn't gotten around to filing. How's Emma? She asked. Sleeping. Good. Sophia turned to face him. You're not quitting. I already did. No, you panicked and made a rash decision. There's a difference. Sophia, listen to me. I understand why you're scared. I understand why you think walking away is the only option. But you're wrong. You don't know what it's like, Ryan said. His voice was tight. Watching your kid in a hospital bed because you weren't there enough. Hearing a doctor tell you that her heart can't handle the stress you're putting her through. You're right, I don't know what that's like, but I know what it's like to give up something important because you're afraid, and I know you'll regret it. I won't regret choosing my daughter. I'm not asking you to choose. Sophia's gray eyes were intense. I'm asking you to let me help. How?
Mom, it's says.
We restructure your role, but make it sustainable. You work from home 3 days a week. We hire another assistant to handle the European time zone calls. You take a step back from daily operations and focus on strategic oversight. Klaus doesn't need you in every meeting. He needs to know someone competent is steering the ship. That's not how these deals work. It's how this deal works if I say it is. Sophia crossed her arms. I'm the CEO, Ryan. I make the rules. And I'm telling you that we can make this work if you're willing to try. Why do you even care? The question hung between them. Because you're good at this, Sophia said finally. And because she stopped, started again. When I built this company, I told myself that caring about people was a weakness, that successful leaders made hard choices and didn't look back. And for a long time that worked. But then I hired you, and I watched you try to balance everything. And I realized something. What? That maybe the hard choice isn't cutting things out of your life. Maybe it's figuring out how to keep them all in. Ryan sank onto the couch. I don't know if I can do that. Neither do I, but I know you won't figure it out by running away. Sophia sat in the chair across from him. The Richter deal closes in 6 weeks. After that, we can reassess. But right now, I need you to not quit. Can you give me that? And if Emma has another episode, then you drop everything and go to her. No questions asked. No consequences. You can't promise that. Watch me. Sophia leaned forward. I meant what I said before. You're too valuable to lose, not just to this company, to... She stopped again. To me. The admission seemed to cost her something. Ryan looked at her, really looked at her. The CEO who never showed weakness, who built walls so high nobody could scale them, sitting in his shabby apartment at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday night trying to convince him not to give up. Why are you really here? He asked. Sophia was quiet for a long moment. Because watching you choose your daughter made me realize something I've been avoiding for a long time. What's that? That I'm lonely. The words came out flat, factual. I have money and power and success. And I come home every night to an empty apartment. I tell myself that's what I wanted, that it's the price of achievement. But then I see you with Emma, and I see what I gave up, and I wonder if I was wrong. Ryan didn't know what to say. I'm not asking you to fix that, Sophia continued. I'm trying to be honest. You asked me once if I regretted my choices. The answer is yes. Not all of them, but some. And I don't want you to look back in 20 years and have the same regrets. So this is about you. No, it's about both of us. Sophia stood. Think about it. Don't answer now. Just think about whether there's a way to make this work. And if there is, call me. If there isn't, she headed for the door. Then I'll accept your resignation, but don't decide tonight, not when you're running on fear and exhaustion. She left before Ryan could respond. He sat in the quiet apartment for a long time, Sophia's words echoing in his head. The deal closes in 6 weeks. After that, we can reassess. It was a lifeline, a chance to see if balance was actually possible or just another illusion. Emma appeared in the hallway, rubbing her eyes. Who was that? My boss. Why was she here? She wanted to make sure we're okay. Emma patted over and climbed onto the couch next to him. Are we? Ryan put his arm around her. I think so. You're not going to leave, right? Like, leave? Never. Promise? Promise. Emma rested her head on his shoulder. I like it when you're home. Me too, sweetheart. Me too. The next morning, Ryan called Sophia. I'll stay through the deal, he said, but on my terms. I work from home except for critical meetings. I'm offline after 6 p.m., and if Emma needs me, everything else stops. Done, Sophia said immediately. Just like that? I told you, I make the rules. Okay, then I need something else. Name it. I need you to kill the Klaus call scheduled for tomorrow. It's at 4 a.m. my time because of the time difference. That's insane. I'll move it. And I need access to Emma's medical bills. The hospital is already calling about payment. I can't focus on the deal if I'm worried about going into debt. Send me the invoices. The company will cover it. Sophia, I can't. Yes, you can. We have a healthcare assistance fund for exactly this kind of situation. Use it. Ryan closed his eyes. Thank you. Don't thank me, just deliver. She paused. And Ryan? Take care of her. She's lucky to have you. The line went dead. The next 6 weeks were the hardest and strangest of Ryan's life. He set up a home office in the corner of the living room, just a desk and a laptop, but it was enough. Emma did homework at the kitchen table while he took calls with headphones on. They had lunch together every day. She started smiling again. The Richter deal crawled toward the finish line. There were setbacks, technical issues, compliance challenges, moments where Klaus threatened to walk away and had to be talked back from the edge. But Jennifer managed the day-to-day chaos, and Linda handled the engineering decisions, and Ryan focused on the big picture. It worked. Sophia called him every evening at 5:30, right before she left the office. Not about work, just to check in. "How's Emma?" she'd ask. "Good. She had a follow-up appointment today. Heart's stable." "That's good. How are you?" "Tired. Marcus is pushing back on the Q3 budget again. Marcus always pushes back. I know. I just wish he'd find a new hobby." The conversations were short, professional on the surface, but there was something underneath, a connection neither of them quite acknowledged. One Friday evening, Sophia called at 7 instead of 5:30. "Sorry," she said when Ryan answered. "Long meeting, you probably already ate dinner." "We just finished, spaghetti." "Sounds good." "It was from a jar." "Still sounds good." There was a pause. Ryan could hear traffic in the background. Sophia was driving. "Where are you?" he asked. "Heading home." "You sound, I don't know, off." "It's the anniversary," Sophia said quietly. "Of what?" "My divorce. 15 years today." Ryan didn't know what to say. "I don't usually think about it," Sophia continued, "but something about this year, maybe it's watching you figure out how to balance everything. It made me wonder what would have happened if I'd tried harder, if I'd chosen differently." "Do you regret it?" "The divorce? No. But I regret how I handled it. I made it a zero-sum game. Him or the company, love or success, like there was no middle ground. Maybe there wasn't. For you, at that time. Maybe." Sophia sighed. "I should let you go. Enjoy your evening." "Sophia? Yeah? You could come over if you want. We're just watching a movie." Silence. Then, "I don't want to intrude." "You're not." "What's Emma going to think if her dad's boss shows up on a Friday night?" "She'll think you're a person, not just a boss." More silence. Ryan could hear Sophia thinking, weighing, calculating. "Okay," she said finally. "I'll be there in 20 minutes." She arrived with a bottle of wine and a bag of cookies from an expensive bakery. Emma answered the door. "Hi," Emma said, staring up at Sophia with open curiosity. "Hi. You must be Emma." "I'm Sophia." "I know. Your dad's boss." "That's right. He talks about you a lot." Ryan appeared behind Emma. "That's enough interrogation for now." Sophia smiled, actually smiled, not the professional version, but something real. "It's fine. I like her already." They settled in the living room. Emma showed Sophia her drawings from school while Ryan opened the wine. It should have been awkward, the CEO of a major tech company sitting on a threadbare couch eating cookies with a 6-year-old. But it wasn't. Sophia asked Emma about her favorite subjects, her friends, what she wanted to be when she grew up. Emma answered with complete honesty, which meant telling Sophia that she wanted to be a veterinarian, but was also considering being a princess. "Those aren't mutually exclusive," Sophia said seriously. "You could be a princess who takes care of animals." "Really?" "Absolutely. Princesses need hobbies too." Emma considered this. "Okay, then that's what I'll be." They watched the movie, some animated thing about a girl who saved her village. Emma fell asleep before the end, her head on Ryan's shoulder. "She's out," Ryan whispered. Sophia looked at them both. "She's beautiful." "Yeah, she is." "You're doing a good job with her." "I'm doing my best." "That's the same thing." Ryan smiled, remembering Emma saying those exact words. He carefully extracted himself and carried his daughter to bed. When he came back, Sophia was looking at the photos on the wall. Emma as a baby. Emma with Claire. Emma and Ryan at the zoo. "That's my wife," Ryan said, pointing to a picture of Claire holding newborn Emma. "Was my wife. She looks happy." "She was, most of the time." Sophia turned to face him. "Do you still love her?" "Every day. But it's different now, less sharp. More like, I don't know, like a song you used to know all the words to." "I like that." They stood in the quiet apartment, the movie still playing on mute, city lights filtering through the windows. "Thank you for this," Sophia said, "for letting me be here." "Thank you for coming." "I should go, it's late." "You could stay for another drink." Sophia hesitated. "I don't think that's a good idea." "Why not?" "Because—" She stopped, started again. "Because I'm already in dangerous territory here." "What does that mean?" "It means I came over tonight because I wanted to see you. Not just check in, not just talk about work, actually see you." Sophia's voice was quiet but steady. "And that's a problem." "Why is it a problem?" "Because you work for me. Because there are power dynamics and professional boundaries and 100 reasons why this is complicated." "Or," Ryan said, "it's only as complicated as we make it." Sophia met his eyes. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I look forward to your calls every night. I'm saying I think about you more than I should. I'm saying that having you here tonight felt right in a way I haven't felt in a long time." "Ryan, I know all the reasons this is a bad idea, but I also know that life is short and unpredictable, and sometimes the people who make sense on paper aren't the ones who matter. You matter." Sophia looked like she was trying to solve an equation with no solution. "I'm your boss. So we figure it out, or we don't. But I'd rather try and fail than spend the next 6 months pretending I don't feel this." "And what about Emma? What about her? If this goes wrong, it doesn't just affect us. It affects her too." Ryan thought about that. "You're right, it does. But I'm also teaching her something important by being honest about what I want. I spent 3 years after Claire died just surviving, just going through the motions. I don't want to do that anymore." Sophia was quiet for a long time. Then she crossed the distance between them and kissed him. It was gentle, tentative, like she was asking a question. Ryan answered by pulling her closer. They stood like that for a while, the apartment quiet around them, the complications waiting for tomorrow. When they finally pulled apart, Sophia rested her forehead against his. "This is terrifying," she whispered. "I know. I don't know how to do this. I'm not good at people. Neither am I. Not anymore. So what do? We figure it out together." Ryan took her hand. "One day at a time." Sophia nodded. "Okay, one day at a time." She stayed another hour. They talked about everything except work, childhood memories, favorite books, the weird quirks that made them human. When she finally left, Ryan stood in the doorway watching her walk down the hall. She turned back. "Ryan? Yeah? I'm scared I'm going to screw this up. Join the club." She smiled. "See you Monday?" "See you Monday." After she left, Ryan went to check on Emma. She was sprawled across her bed, covers kicked off, stuffed animals scattered everywhere. He tucked her in and kissed her forehead. "I love you, sweetheart," he whispered. For the first time in years, the future felt like something other than an obstacle to survive. It felt like possibility. Messy, complicated, terrifying possibility. But possibility nonetheless. Monday morning arrived with the weight of everything unsaid. Ryan dropped Emma at school and drove to the office for the first time in 3 weeks. The Richter deal was entering its final phase. Contract signatures, final technical validations, the ceremonial handshakes that turned months of work into reality. He needed to be there in person. Sophia was already in the conference room when he arrived, reviewing documents with Linda and Marcus. She looked up when he walked in, and for a split second her expression softened before snapping back to professional neutrality. "Mr. Carter," she said. "Good to have you back." "Good to be back." Marcus looked between them with barely concealed suspicion, but said nothing. The meeting lasted 2 hours. Klaus joined via video from Berlin, his face filling the screen with its usual skeptical expression. They walked through the final deliverables, confirmed timelines, addressed last-minute concerns. Everything was on track. The deal would close Friday. Assuming nothing catastrophic happens in the next 4 days, Klaus said. Nothing will, Sophia replied with absolute confidence. After the call ended, Marcus lingered while Linda and the others filed out. Can I speak with you both? He asked. Sophia gestured to the chairs. Of course. Marcus sat, his expression carefully neutral. There are rumors. About? Sophia's tone was ice. About you and Ryan. People are talking. Let them talk, Sophia said. With all due respect, that's not good enough. You're the CEO. He's your employee. If there's something inappropriate happening, there's nothing inappropriate, Ryan cut in. We're colleagues. Marcus looked at him. Are you? That's enough, Sophia said. Her voice was quiet but absolute. What Ryan and I do outside of work is none of your concern. What should concern you is whether we're delivering results. And we are. So unless you have a legitimate business issue to discuss, this conversation is over. Marcus stood slowly. Just remember, perception matters, even when the reality is innocent. He left. The room was silent. He's going to be a problem, Ryan said. Marcus is always a problem. That's why I pay him. Sophia closed her laptop. But he's not wrong about perception. We need to be careful. Is that what you want? To be careful? I want to be smart. There's a difference. Ryan moved closer. Sophia, not here. She glanced toward the glass walls, the open office beyond. Tonight, come to my place. We'll talk then. She gave him the address and left before he could respond. The rest of the day crawled. Ryan caught Jennifer staring at him during the afternoon status meeting. Linda asked if he was feeling okay. Apparently he looked distracted. He was. His mind kept circling back to Sophia's apartment, to whatever conversation waited for him there, to the impossible tightrope they were trying to walk. He picked Emma up from school and took her to Patricia's for the evening. Hot date? Patricia asked with a knowing smile. Something like that. About time. It's complicated. It always is. Patricia ruffled Emma's hair. Go, we'll be fine. Emma and I are going to make cookies. Can I eat them all? Emma asked. Absolutely not, Ryan and Patricia said in unison. Ryan kissed his daughter goodbye and drove across town to Sophia's building. It was in the financial district, all glass and modern angles, the kind of place where doormen wore suits and knew everyone's name. The doorman directed him to the penthouse. The elevator ride felt longer than it should have. When the doors opened directly into Sophia's apartment, Ryan stepped into a space that was somehow exactly what he expected and nothing like it at all. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the city, minimalist furniture, everything in shades of white and gray. But there were small touches that surprised him. A bookshelf overflowing with novels, a collection of vinyl records, a blanket draped carelessly over the couch, like someone actually used it. Sophia appeared from the kitchen holding 2 glasses of wine. You found it, she said. Your doorman was very helpful. He's paid to be. She handed him a glass. Sit, please. They sat on opposite ends of the couch, the space between them charged with everything they weren't saying. Marcus cornered me after you left, Sophia said. Wanted to know if we were sleeping together. What did you tell him? That it was none of his business. That's not a denial. No, it's not. Sophia took a sip of wine. I've been thinking about this all day, about what we're doing, what it means. And I keep coming back to the same question. What happens if this falls apart? You work for me. If we try this and it doesn't work, one of us has to leave, probably you. Why me? Because I built this company from nothing. It's mine. You have Emma to think about. You could find another job, rebuild somewhere else. I can't. Ryan set down his glass. You're already planning the breakup before we've even started. I'm being realistic. You're being scared. Of course I'm scared. Sophia's voice rose slightly. I spent 15 years building walls so I wouldn't have to feel like this. And then you walked into my office looking exhausted and honest, and suddenly those walls don't work anymore. Do you know how terrifying that is? Yeah, I do, because I spent 3 years convinced I'd never feel anything for anyone ever again. That part of me died with Claire. And then you showed up and proved me wrong. This isn't the same thing. You're right, it's not. With Claire, I was young and stupid and thought love was enough. Now I know better. Love isn't enough, but it's still necessary. Sophia looked at him for a long moment. What are you saying? I'm saying I love you. The words came out simpler than he expected. I don't know when it happened. Maybe it was gradual. Maybe it was all at once. But I'm tired of pretending I don't. Ryan, you don't have to say it back. I'm not asking you to. I'm just telling you the truth. And the truth is, I'm willing to risk my job, my career, all of it, if it means having a chance with you. But if you're not, if you'd rather keep your walls up and stay safe, I'll respect that. I'll transfer to another department. We'll go back to being professional, but you have to decide. Sophia stood and walked to the windows. The city spread out below her, millions of lights, millions of lives, all of them simpler than hers felt in this moment. When my marriage ended, she said quietly, I promised myself I'd never let anyone have that kind of power over me again, that I'd stay in control, build something that couldn't be taken away. How's that working out? It was working fine until you. She turned to face him. I don't know how to do this, Ryan. I don't know how to be vulnerable and still be strong, how to need someone and not lose myself. Maybe you don't have to choose. Maybe strength is letting yourself need people. That sounds like something from a greeting card. Doesn't make it less true. Sophia laughed despite herself, a real laugh, not the practiced version she used in meetings. You're annoying when you're right. I've heard that before. She crossed the room and sat next to him, close enough that their knees touched. If we do this, we do it right. No hiding, no pretending it's casual, and no using the company as an excuse when things get hard. Agreed. And Emma comes first. Always. If she's not okay with this, we stop. She will be. But yes, she comes first. Okay? Sophia took a breath. Then I'm saying yes. To this. To us. To whatever terrifying thing this becomes. Ryan kissed her. It was different from Friday night. Less tentative, more certain. They stayed like that for a while. The city lights blinking beyond the windows, the weight of their decision settling around them. I don't love you yet, Sophia whispered against his mouth. But I think I could. If you're patient. I've got time. They spent the evening talking about everything they'd been avoiding. How to handle the relationship at work, whether to tell the board or keep it private for now. What Emma would say when she found out. It was messy and complicated and completely necessary. Around midnight, Ryan's phone buzzed. A text from Patricia. Emma's asleep. Stay as long as you need. I should go, he said. Or you could stay. Sophia, I'm not asking for anything. Just stay. I don't want to be alone tonight. So he stayed. They fell asleep on the couch, Sophia's head on his chest, his arm around her shoulders. It wasn't romantic or dramatic. It was just two people who'd spent too long being alone deciding they didn't have to be anymore. The next morning, Ryan woke to sunlight and the smell of coffee. Sophia was already dressed, working on her laptop at the kitchen counter. Morning, she said without looking up. What time is it? 6:30. I let you sleep. Ryan sat up, disoriented. I need to get Emma. Patricia texted. She's taking Emma to school. Said you owe her one. I owe her about 100. Sophia poured him coffee. I've been thinking about the Richter deal. Of course you have. There's a vulnerability in the contract. Klaus tried to bury it in the compliance section, but it's there. If they hit certain performance metrics, they can renegotiate terms after year 1. Can we fix it? Not without reopening negotiations, which we don't have time for. Ryan took the coffee and thought, what if we don't fix it? Excuse me? What if we let it stay and build in our own protection? A reciprocal clause. If they can renegotiate terms, so can we. Make it mutual. Sophia's eyes lit up. That could work. Klaus wouldn't expect it. Because you'd be giving up leverage. No, I'd be creating balance, which is smarter. She grabbed her phone to say, I'm calling Linda. We need to draft this before the Friday signing. They spent the next 3 days in a controlled sprint. Linda's team worked around the clock revising contract language. Klaus pushed back, as expected, But the logic was airtight. If Richter wanted flexibility, Laurent Technologies deserved the same. The negotiations went down to the wire, lawyers on both sides arguing over semicolons and definitions. Friday morning, Klaus finally agreed. The signing took place in the main conference room. Press was there. Not major outlets, but enough to matter. Sophia gave a short speech about partnership and innovation. Klaus responded with something in German that got translated as roughly the same sentiment. They signed the contracts, shook hands for the cameras, and just like that, $60 million and 6 months of work became official. After the press left, the executive team gathered for champagne. To the Richter deal, Marcus said, raising his glass, and to Sophia's vision that made it possible. And to Ryan's execution that made it real, Sophia added, looking directly at him. The team drank. Marcus's expression suggested he'd bitten into something sour, but he kept quiet. Later, after everyone had filtered back to work, Sophia found Ryan in his office. "You did good," she said. "We did good." "Fair enough." She closed the door behind her. "The board wants to formalize your promotion. Vice President of Strategic Initiatives. It comes with a significant raise in equity." "Sophia, I can't. You can and you will. You earned it. This isn't charity and it's not favoritism. The board reviewed your performance independently. Marcus even voted for it. Marcus hates me. Marcus respects results. He doesn't have to like you." Sophia sat on the edge of his desk. "Take the promotion, Ryan. You've proven you belong here." "What about us?" "What about us? VP means I report directly to you. The power dynamic gets worse, not better." Sophia considered this. "Then we disclose it. Officially. To the board, to HR, to anyone who needs to know. We follow every protocol, sign every form, make it completely transparent. You're okay with that?" "I'm okay with not hiding. I'm tired of hiding." Ryan stood and kissed her. "Then yes, I'll take the promotion." That weekend, Ryan told Emma. They were at the zoo, the trip he'd promised her weeks ago. Emma was watching the penguins when he sat down next to her on the bench. "Can I talk to you about something?" he asked. "Is it serious?" "Kind of." Emma turned to face him, her expression solemn. "Okay. You know Sophia, my boss. The one who came over that night." "Yeah, well, we've been spending more time together. And I wanted you to know that we're dating now. Like, officially." Emma processed this. "Do you love her?" "I think so. It's complicated." "Does she love you?" "She's getting there." "Does she like me?" Ryan pulled Emma close. "She thinks you're amazing, but that's not the important question. The important question is, are you okay with this?" Emma was quiet for a long time, watching the penguins slide into the water. "Is she going to take you away? Like work did?" "No. If anything, she's helping me be home more." "Promise?" "I promise. And Emma, you're the most important person in my life. Always. That doesn't change no matter who else is in it." Emma leaned against him. "Okay, then it's okay." "Yeah? Yeah, but Dad? What?" "If she's mean to you, I'm going to push her, like I pushed that kid at school." Ryan laughed. "How about we try using words first?" "Fine, but I'm just saying." They spent the rest of the day at the zoo. When they got home, there was a package on the doorstep. Emma opened it to find the stuffed penguin she'd been admiring in the gift shop, along with a note in Sophia's handwriting. "Thought you might want a friend for Berlin. S." Emma hugged the penguin. "She's nice." "Yeah," Ryan agreed. "She is." The next few months unfolded in a way Ryan never expected. Work became something other than survival. He and Sophia settled into a rhythm, professional during office hours, partners after. They had dinner at her place twice a week. She came to his apartment every Sunday for what became their unofficial tradition, pancakes with Emma and whatever movie his daughter picked. The first time Sophia stayed over at Ryan's place with Emma there, she looked terrified. "What if I do something wrong?" she whispered while Emma was brushing her teeth. "Like what?" I don't know. Say the wrong thing. Break some parenting rule I don't know about. Just be yourself. Myself doesn't know how to talk to 6-year-olds. Then learn. She's a good teacher. Emma appeared in pajamas covered in stars. Sophia, can you read me a story? Sophia looked at Ryan. He nodded encouragement. Sure, Sophia said. Which book? They read 3 books because Emma kept asking for one more. By the 3rd, Sophia had relaxed into it, doing voices for the characters, letting Emma interrupt with questions and commentary. When Emma finally fell asleep, Sophia stood in the doorway looking at her like she'd solved a particularly difficult equation. That wasn't so bad, she said. Told you. She's a lot like you, stubborn, smart, emotionally honest. I'll take that as a compliment. It was meant as one. They went back to the living room. Sophia curled up on the couch with her legs tucked under her, looking more at ease than Ryan had ever seen her. I've been thinking about something, she said. Dangerous. I'm serious. I want to start a foundation. Use some of the company's profits to fund programs for single parents. Childcare assistance, career coaching, that kind of thing. Where's this coming from? From watching you, from realizing that what you went through, what you're still going through, is something millions of people face, and most of them don't have the resources or support you've had. I want to change that. Ryan sat next to her. That's a big project. I know, but I think it matters. And I think I need to build something that's about more than profit. When did you become an idealist? When I met you. She kissed him softly. You're a bad influence. I've heard that before too. The foundation launched 6 months later. Sophia threw herself into it with the same intensity she brought to everything else. She hired a director, established partnerships with nonprofits, created grant programs. Ryan helped where he could, but mostly he watched her discover a part of herself she'd buried years ago. The part that cared about people, not just outcomes. At work, things shifted too. Marcus eventually stopped looking at Ryan like he was an imposter. The board approved 3 new strategic initiatives based on Ryan's proposals. Klaus Bergman sent an email saying Richter was ahead of schedule and wanted to discuss expanding the partnership. But it wasn't perfect. Nothing ever was. There were arguments about work, about boundaries, about Emma. One night, Sophia showed up late to dinner because a meeting ran over, and Ryan snapped at her about reliability. She fired back that he was being controlling. They didn't speak for 2 days until Emma asked why Sophia wasn't coming over for Sunday pancakes. We had a fight, Ryan told her, so apologize. It's not that simple. Yes, it is. You tell her you're sorry and you mean it. Mom told me that once. She said sorry only works if you mean it. Ryan called Sophia that night. I'm sorry, I was an ass. You were. But I should have called. Can we try again? Yeah, we can try again. That became their pattern. Fight, cool off, talk it through, try again. It wasn't romantic or easy, but it was real. A year after the Richter deal closed, Laurent Technologies announced record profits. The board voted to go public within 18 months. Sophia called Ryan into her office the day the decision was made. If we go public, everything changes, she said. Scrutiny increases, pressure increases. Our relationship becomes even more complicated. Are you asking me to step back? No. I'm asking if you're ready for what comes next. Ryan thought about Emma, now 7 and thriving, about the apartment they'd outgrown and the house they were looking at in a neighborhood with good schools, about Sophia, who still sometimes woke up in the middle of the night convinced she was doing everything wrong but was learning to ask for help instead of pretending she had all the answers. I'm ready, he said. Good, because I'm going to need you. You've got me. You've had me for a while now. Sophia smiled, the real one, not the CEO version. I know. I'm just finally ready to admit it. The IPO happened the following spring. Laurent Technologies went public at a valuation that made headlines. Sophia was on the cover of 3 business magazines. Ryan stayed in the background, managing the operational chaos that came with going public while Sophia handled the press and the investors. The night after the first day of trading, they had dinner at Sophia's apartment. Just the 3 of them, Ryan, Sophia, and Emma. Are you rich now? Emma asked Sophia. That's not polite, Ryan said. It's fine. Sophia looked at Emma seriously. Yes, the company is worth a lot more than it was, but that doesn't change anything important. What's important? The work we do, the people we help, the life we're building. Emma considered this. Can we still have pancakes on Sunday? Absolutely. Then I don't care about the money. After Emma went to bed, Ryan and Sophia stood on the balcony looking out at the city. We did it, Sophia said. You did it. We did it, she repeated firmly. I couldn't have gotten here without you. That's not true. It is. You taught me something I didn't think was possible. What's that? That success doesn't require sacrifice. It requires balance. She turned to face him. I love you. I should have said it months ago, but I was scared. I'm not scared anymore. I love you too. I know, you've been very patient. Worth it. They kissed as the city sprawled beneath them, proof that impossible things sometimes worked out after all. 2 months later, Ryan and Emma moved into the house they'd been eyeing. 3 bedrooms, a backyard, enough space for all of them. Sophia didn't officially move in, but she stayed over most nights. Her clothes appeared in the closet gradually, her books on the shelves, her coffee mug in the kitchen. One Saturday morning, Emma found them making breakfast together. Are you guys getting married? She asked. Ryan nearly dropped the spatula. Sophia froze mid-pour with the orange juice. That's a big question, Ryan said carefully. Not really. You love each other. She lives here now. That's what married people do. It's more complicated than that, Sophia said. Why? Neither of them had a good answer. Later, after Emma had gone outside to play, they looked at each other across the kitchen counter. She's not wrong, Ryan said. About what? About this being what it is. We're building a life together. We have been for a while. Are you proposing? No, not yet. But I'm saying I want to. Eventually. When we're both ready. Sophia was quiet for a long time. I never thought I'd want that again. Marriage, family, the whole thing. And now? Now I think maybe I was wrong about what I needed. She came around the counter and took his hands. I don't need perfect. I don't need easy. I just need real. And this, you and Emma and whatever we're building, this is the most real thing I've ever had. So that's a yes? Eventually? That's a yes. Eventually. They got married 18 months later in a small ceremony with just close friends and family. Emma was the flower girl. Patricia cried through the entire thing. Marcus showed up and actually smiled, which Ryan took as a sign of personal growth. During the reception, Sophia gave a toast that started professional and ended honest. I spent a long time thinking I had to choose, she said. Career or love? Success or family? I built walls to keep myself safe and called it strength. But the truth is, real strength is letting those walls come down. It's admitting you need people. It's choosing vulnerability even when it's terrifying. She looked at Ryan. This man taught me that. And this little girl, she gestured to Emma, who was eating cake with her hands, reminded me that the best things in life are the ones you build together. Ryan stood and kissed her in front of everyone. Emma made a face and said, gross, which got a laugh. That night, after everyone had gone home and Emma was asleep upstairs in the new house, Ryan and Sophia sat on the back porch looking at the stars. You think she's okay with all this? Sophia asked. Really okay? I think she's happy, which is all I wanted for her. And you? Are you happy? Yeah, I really am. Sophia leaned against him. I never thought I'd have this. Any of this. Neither did I. After Claire died, I thought this part of my life was over. But it wasn't. No, it just changed shape. They sat in comfortable silence, the kind that only came after years of learning each other's rhythms and rough edges. You know what I figured out? Sophia said eventually. What? That you can't have everything, but you can have enough. And enough, when it's the right things, is actually more than you need. Ryan thought about that. About the job that had terrified him, the woman who'd challenged him, the daughter who'd saved him, about loss and love and the messy, complicated thing called life. Yeah, he said, enough is perfect. And it was. Not because everything worked out smoothly or because they didn't still fight or struggle or doubt, but because they'd learned the thing that mattered most, that you don't build a life by avoiding failure or choosing safety over risk. You build it by showing up, by being honest, by letting people in even when it's scary. Ryan had walked into Sophia's office 2 years ago with nothing but desperation and hope. He'd left with a career, a partnership, and a family that looked nothing like what he'd planned, but everything like what he needed. Sometimes the best stories aren't about getting everything you want. They're about discovering that what you need was there all along, waiting for you to be brave enough to reach for it. And that's exactly what Ryan did. He reached. And when Sophia reached back, they built something neither of them could have built alone. Something real, something lasting, something enough.